From humble beginnings. To growth and evolving. And the arrival. This is First GenXers.
Poetic beat, poetic beat, poetic beat. Welcome to the classroom. Class is officially in session. Hello, 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 and welcome to tonight's edition of the classroom. I am Dark Lord 100, aka Double KKW. You remember me from earlier with the Cheap Pop podcast. Right now I'm joined by the one and only Siren herself, OMalley. What is up, mama?
What's up?
Not much, not much. We are here to bring you our weekly dose of sports fun. So we're going to kick off this week with round 2 of the NBA playoffs with the Western Conference. You got Oklahoma City taking on the Dallas Mavericks. I believe that series is over. Dallas won 4-2. And right now you have a game 7 going on between the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. So
There's been some crazy lopsided wins too, right? Like 20, 30, 45 points. I am sorry, but there is no excuse, especially once you have gotten to the playoff level where you should be within 20 to 45 fucking points of your opponent. Like, I don't, it stops being fun to watch after a certain point because I want to see how it got that last game 6 or what have you for Dallas, right? In that defensive game, right? To see them playing defense. I mean, I guess one could argue when it's your team and you're up by that much that it's fun to watch, but when it's not your team and you're watching this because playoff basketball is supposed to be top tier, top caliber basketball.
That's not the opinion you're getting from
this. Like, I mean, that 45 points was awesome, but I also didn't expect that right now they would be ahead by 10 after that 45 point win. We were talking about this off
Okay.
whatever this is, and the fact that they spanked them by 45 points means they should be the ones losing by 10 points right now. That's, as Warriors fans, that's what we're used to. Please do not beat us that bad. You will go home crying the next time we
Mhm.
play you,
Yep.
because we are going to remind you of who we are.
And
But right now, it, I mean, this is a good game. Don't get me wrong. At least it's not 20 points. I got it on in the background. It's only 10 right now. There's still 2 minutes left. If this was the Warriors, we'd still technically very much be in this game.
oh yeah.
Um, but right now, the newly declared NBA's face of the league is about to go down in flames.
It's okay. Here's what I'll say. The thing that surprised me about this is the fact that the Nuggets are such a good defensive squad. If they weren't as good as they are defensively, that 45-point blowout wouldn't have surprised me. And here's where I'm going to use the Warriors as a prime example, just like you said. When the Warriors from time to time lose by 20, lose by 30, if you watch the game, it's normally just a bad shooting night. It's not
Yeah,
even really that they're playing bad
yeah,
defense or they're doing
right,
anything wrong. It's just shots are not
right,
dropping.
right.
Denver's not that type of jump shooting team. So when they lose by that much, something went wrong. Where I
They
can't, I
they're
don't know. I
they're
didn't watch the
losing the
game, a lot of the
game
game.
versus getting beat in the game.
Right.
That there's a difference there. There is, and some people are like, "What the fuck do you mean? That's the same thing. They lost." No, no, no. There is a huge difference between losing
Yep.
and being beat.
And being beat
Right now,
100%.
they're just being beat.
Yep.
Right? Like it yeah.
They,
This
yeah.
is, and it's crazy because this is, we've got games. This is the other thing that baffles my mind, right? Game 7. How many of the games have been like disproportionate?
Yeah. Yeah. Very much
Make
so.
up your fucking mind. Are you gonna win crazy or lose crazy? Like, it's not like a lot of these games for any of the series, right? I'm not just talking about the Minnesota Denver game. There's been some lopsided wins
Crazy.
and losses across the board, especially for game like series that are going a full 6 or 7.
Right.
Like
Right.
that, we should be looking at close games.
Yeah.
But they were talking the other night about, we as fans, right, have a memory going into the next. Oh, they bring this into the next. Oh, this is the next. And they sit here and they're like, no, each game is a new game. Okay, I get that to an extent. But if you just lost by 45 points the game before, this is not a new game. This
Okay.
is
Here's the thing about it. Here's the advantage to a 7-game series, and this is what made it so different to the challenge of a 5-game series in the other back in the day, back in the 90s. Because just like now, you get 4 mistakes. Back then, you got 3. You can make a mistake 3 times before the series was over. Now you can make 4 of them. Okay, that's the huge difference between that. But what's funny is that she's 100% right when she talks about the fact that the defense right now is not even at the playoff level. This is supposed to be the elite level defenses. You're talking about, Dan, you're down to your final 8 with the semifinals. These should be the best of the best defensively. Like, and teams are the friggin' Indiana Pacers, which we'll get to in the next segment, put up 130 to win their game 7. Like, and that was against Tibbs and the Knicks.
in New York.
Like,
In New York.
wow,
Okay,
like it
that
was.
that also has to go with saying, right? Like, it's not like they put up that many in Indiana.
Right, at home.
They put up that many in the Garden, folks. Like,
If the T-Wolves win today, that's what's going to make something special. Okay, I will look for ESPN to confirm this, but I believe if the T-Wolves win, it'll be the first time, at least I remember in my life, 2 road teams on the same day winning game 7s. because you got.
But that's also been the problem for a lot of these games is no one wins until it's someone's winning an on the road game,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
so many of these series, these seven, nobody won a road game yet.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, we are in the playoffs, folks. Somebody's gonna have to win a game at some point.
Yep. So the series don't begin until somebody wins on the road. Well, this series
Yep.
between Minnesota and Denver kicked off because didn't Minnesota win the first two in Denver?
Yeah.
And then Denver had to win the next two in Minnesota. So we started this series off with both teams winning on the road. Go figure.
Some fucking crazy shit.
So if Minnesota holds on, we get what? Dallas and Minnesota in the Okay. $100 to anybody who had the Mavericks and the Timberwolves in the conference championship. Mavericks and Timberwolves. Hello? This thing on? Anybody? No? No, I didn't either. It's like
Hello.
in a Western Conference stacked with LeBron, stacked with Kevin Durant, stacked with Steph Curry.
I'm sorry. No, can we take LeBron out of there? Like that?
Okay.
No. Out.
Okay.
Out.
LeBron gone, but you still got Kevin Durant. You still got now Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, but I guess Kevin Durant shouldn't have left the Knicks, should he have?
Who knew?
Just
Who
saying.
knew? But yeah, they
Who's
just.
the problem in that scenario? Just saying.
I think.
Needed who as far as winning a championship? I wonder. Kevin Durant.
I don't know. I don't know if he looks back and regrets leaving the Warriors, but I know I know sometimes in his dreams he sees those championships he could have kept winning in Golden State.
Yeah, either that or it actually does his legacy more harm than, just like with LeBron and LeBron having played for like 10 different coaches, and he's played with how many people who are on the NBA's top 75 of all time, right? How many did Jordan play with? 2, 3, maybe?
Maybe.
Freaking LeBron has played with, a baker's dozen at least?
Easy.
Like, so, no. Go my ass, maybe on a farm somewhere in Ohio. Bye.
Oh, man. All right.
You can stay courtside at the Cavs because, maybe you can just go back there, retire there. You and Bronny can make it all nice and wonderful. But go.
On an off subject real quick before we move on to the Eastern Conference, is it weird to you that all of a sudden now that we're at the NBA Combine, now all of a sudden Bronny is excelling? Like he just moved up, I think, on ESPN's draft board from like 101 to like 40 something.
54.
Or 54, yeah.
To say that it's hella sus is an understatement.
Yeah.
Like no.
Like this is not the kid we saw play for USC. Like
it's
legit.
also not that kid. That is not him. I feel like and that's the thing is like, and this is why what do you have to lose by deferring one more year?
Right.
Show everybody what you have, because if you go into the draft right now, you 100,000 gajillion million%, and Minnesota just won.
Wow.
Will always have it over your head that the only reason why you got drafted was because of your father.
Yep.
Okay? So take one more year and go actually play and make a name for yourself. Otherwise, and if you're fine, if you're okay with it's only because of your father, I mean, who knows? Maybe he's okay with knowing that.
No,
maybe he doesn't really want it, and it's like, I know it's only because of my dad, and I don't really want it anyway, so whatever. But
go ahead.
it would behoove all of you, even LeBron, listen to this. If you want your son to have legitimacy and you actually want your legacy to be legitimate, encourage your son to play at least one more year. in
Right
college.
there. Well, I'll say this. Right now, his career arc at best is Seth Curry, not Steph, Seth.
I, I,
Okay.
I
Maybe a serviceable starter at some point in his career for a few
he's
years.
not even a Brandon Lee. He's a Seth Curry.
Well, no, I'm just saying,
He's not
like,
even the brother-in-law, but
like I'm just saying, like I don't see him. If he does get drafted, I don't see him start working his way into anybody's starting rotation for at least 3 years. And at
well, and
best,
that's what I mean. Jeannie Buss or the Lakers organization or whoever it is, I have zero faith left in her. Like
yeah,
her father is rolling over in his grave somewhere, right? But they say that they're still looking at him, but if anything, at 54, not their 17 pick. LeBron has come out and said that him staying has nothing to do with the who drafts. And it's like, okay, well, then why did you opt out and all of these shenanigans? I don't trust you. Here's what I think. I think Cleveland needs to draft Bronny, and LeBron needs to go back to Cleveland, go bye to Cleveland, and go retire there and retire as a Cav, because I don't care how many more years you spend with the Lakers, you will never actually be a Laker.
okay.
Sorry. Bye.
I say it like this. He's retracted his original statement in saying that he would like to play with his son, or where his son goes is going to determine. He's retracted that statement. That Rich Paul has come out and said that where Bronny lands is going to have nothing to do with where LeBron signs or what he does.
Bullshit.
I hope so. Yeah.
Bullshit.
Well, like I'm not saying I believe. I'm just saying I hope that that's the truth.
Bullshit.
For Bronny's sake, I hope not. I hope so. Want to say, but do I believe it? No.
Bronny's going to be Lonzo Ball 2.5.
And here's the thing about it. I believe the kid. I don't care how well you perform at the combine. If you struggled against college competition, and I'm sorry, as much as I feel for the kid, and my heart goes out to the kid that he had the heart issue, and that he had to have the surgery and all that. I don't think it had anything to do with why he struggled against college competition at USC.
Nope, I actually think it was a convenient excuse.
Yeah, like I definitely agree with that. Like I don't think that it affected him as far as his game as much as they say. I think he's going to struggle at the next level.
Here's where I have all of my issues, and the answer to all of this is the answer of this question. But for the fact that he is the son of LeBron James, would he even be in the discussion right now? No.
I don't think so. Like I don't know. I think he'd be
wouldn't have
borderline
made it
second
as far
round,
in
late second round.
AAU as he did if his father was not his father.
That's fair. That's fair. There's nothing you can. Well, there's nothing that you can really argue against it.
And that is just to further enforce my point is play another year at the college level. You have absolutely nothing to lose from that and everything to gain. You're not one of these kids who you are resting your entire family, you're getting out of from under, you're like all of that on going into the pros, to where I can't do one more college year because if I get hurt, everything is fucked. You don't have that to worry about. And that's also apparent in the way that you play. Sorry, it just is. But you don't have that to worry about. So here, you have absolutely nothing to lose by playing another year. In fact, you actually have everything to gain by playing a full productive year and saying, hey, here's my full year. Shut the fuck up. I held my own. Now what?
And that's the key thing to it. Hold on. my goodness. All right, there you go. All right, there you go. Okay, so sorry, yes. No, but yeah, 100%. This kid's not ready. It's going to show. Like, that's why I say think like, because, okay, Steph kind of stormed onto the scene as a first round draft pick and did what he do. Seth kind of worked his way to respectability. Like Steph's early
he
success.
did G League. He did all of it.
He did whatever he needed to do.
Okay, you don't want to play another year in college. Go play overseas. Go show something. You have not. I am sorry. Your last name does not earn you a spot. It doesn't. It doesn't earn you respect. And I will tell you that every player that you play with from here on out will not have that level of respect for you. They will always have the idea that you are only here because of who your daddy is.
Yep.
And LeBron James, deep down, you know this shit. You know this.
Why do you think he's backing off his initial statement?
Encourage your son to have that extra year, to play in college, to have an experience you actually never got to have.
Yep.
Encourage him to do that and allow him to earn that respect himself. So if and when he does make it to the league, his teammates actually legitimately respect him.
Yep. 100%. I said, we'll see.
Otherwise,
we'll see
you're just fueling animosity. Like, he's going to be playing with players who have fought and scraped and done everything they could to get where they're at. You don't think that they're going to have some type of animosity towards him?
Yeah.
You a bitch, bro.
Even Agent K28.
Your daddy's a bitch, bro. Like, sorry, not sorry.
But I'll say, Agent K28 agrees with the OMalley. The kid should play another year. Yeah, he's not LeBron. He should realize that. But now we'll move on to the Eastern Conference playoffs, which saw the Boston Celtics beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in 5 games. And the number 2 seed New York Knicks get sent home by the Indiana Pacers, 130-109 in a Game 7 at Madison Square Garden.
Y'all should be ashamed.
Ashamed ain't even the right word. Like,
embarrassed. Like, y'all should quit. Y'all should enter witness protection, because I'm sure that the hate mail and messages and all of that. And I mean, y'all got the Villanova 3. Like, what the F? I don't get it.
DiVincenzo set a record, most threes in a Game 7 in the semifinals. And they still lost.
This is why I don't bet on sports, people, because, like, logically speaking, the safe choice would have been the Knicks.
Yep.
Especially at home in a Game 7.
Yep.
With 3 players who won national championships together. Like, what?
And Jalen Brunson, basically the best version of himself, and they still lost.
Bro.
And the saddest thing about it is this. DiVincenzo can score. Now, I will say this in defense of the Knicks. They had the shortest bench of any team left in the NBA playoffs because they have so many injured players. So they did have that working against them. But with what they had done throughout the previous part of the playoffs, this loss makes no sense. It doesn't.
Who bet on this game? Who bet on this game?
Somebody extremely powerful.
Shohei Ohtani, where is your manager? No, but this is insane. The only thing that I can really take away from this is if they're able to mostly keep together what they were able to bring together with this team, I think next year they really could be the team to watch out for. Like if those three, if they're able to keep those three together and the majority of the people that they have around them strengthen that bench, we're looking at the Knicks in the finals next year.
I can see it. I can see it because at this point, okay, the only team I will say is a X factor for next year when it comes to the playoffs and it comes to the Eastern Conference is Giannis and the Bucks. I don't think we really saw what they could do this year because Giannis was hurt, but it is what it is. But I think next year they're a team that a lot of people will expect a lot of.
But does Giannis stay in Milwaukee? But does Giannis stay? But does Giannis stay in Milwaukee? That's
I don't
the
really
question.
see where. Like I see places that he can go, but I don't really see where.
Does Dame stay? Like I mean, I'm not even talking about where contracts are. That's not even important. We all know it doesn't matter what year you're in, what your contract was. Like ask Russell Westbrook how that worked out, right? But if you notice, Dame plays better when Giannis isn't in.
Yeah, that's true.
He does. Giannis is an amazing player. He is a great player. He's a phenom. He's amazing. But trying to find players who he can play with and who can complement him has shown to be a little difficult. I know that there's a lot of people who've been shouting, Warriors should get Giannis. Warriors should get Giannis, right? Because of where we're at. Now, I don't know. But it's interesting. I would like to see what they can do when Giannis is healthy, when Dame is healthy, because Dame got hurt towards the end too. Like, let's see what they can do with another, year to kind of gel. I never really expect something right off the bat when a player changes teams, especially like how Dame did after being with Portland for so long, right? Give it a year or two to maybe acclimate and build around that. Learn to play, especially when you've got two players who are used to being the player, right? So it's a learning curve, really. So that will, if they're able to keep those two together and going forward, that will be an interesting thing. I really did want to see them go farther. One, just because like Dame being from Oakland, I can't help it. I love the kid. I appreciate it. I will always have respect for him. When it doesn't come to the Warriors, I paid attention to the Blazers because I love Dame. Yes, I will always support the Oakland kids. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't care what team you are, what sport it is. If you're from Oakland, I'm a support you. And just like Marshawn, he is one that is steadily given back to the community. Yeah. 0 stands for Oakland first and Oregon second. Like, it just, so I see that, and I really wanted it for him, right? After wanting it so many years, when you take the Warriors out of the picture, if the Warriors aren't in it, it's like, I want to see that person succeed, whether you're in Portland, and yeah, I also have some other ties, right? I went to Portland State. I graduated in the Moda Center, right? So, right, Game 6. 2015, I'm graduating in there, watching the game on my phone while I'm waiting to get my diploma, right? Dub Nation in Rip City, but it's just one of those things you want to see that success happen because he's gotten the money, he's gotten the fame. It's like the only thing that hasn't been able, and it's part of it is, I'm sorry, but Portland just didn't. For the longest time, it was just him and CJ McCollum, and then it was just him. Yeah. Like, you have to, there is only so much, and look how far he did bring them.
Yeah. all the
right?
way to the conference finals.
Yeah, and not in the way that like LeBron is, because here's the other thing is that's a man who can take accountability when he's not playing the way that he should, instead of it's everybody else's fault. I'm going to take all the glory and displace all the blame. So, I it'll be interesting next year to see how they progress.
How they progress, for sure, for sure.
If that team even looks the same come this time next year.
I'd like him to let go of that Lopez brother. I wanted him in Golden State for years. Uh, he's a damn good like filler guy. He's kind of like Kevin Looney, except he's just a little bit taller. I followed him back when he used to play for Stanford, which blows my mind. Now Stanford's going to be in the ACC. I don't know if they're going in basketball too, but I know they're going in football. But anyway, uh, well, I'll say, all right, so Western Conference Finals are going to have the Boston Celtics again. I know, I know that they won 2 years ago because it's their third consecutive one. So they won 2 years ago. That's when they lost to the Warriors in 2022. 2023, I don't remember if they lost or not. Was it Boston in Denver last year?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so then they won 2 years in a row. So here's their third consecutive conference finals, this time against Indiana. Do you think that they're going to their third straight NBA finals?
Um, I don't think that's the right question.
Okay.
Do you think they're gonna lose their third straight finals?
I think this year
So
they
I
have a
guess
better
that
shot than any
answers-
other year. I'll be
So
honest
I
with you.
guess that answers your question, though, right? Like, are they gonna go? Yeah, but are they gonna lose their third straight final?
I don't know if it's between
and-
Minnesota and
right.
Dallas. I think Boston could take both of them.
And right now, well, see, here's the other thing is like, I feel like, especially being from California and being from the Bay, like low key, we should want Dallas to win. Low key, like Hardaway Jr., freaking Jason Kidd. Like, I feel like low key, we have enough reasons to root for Dallas over other teams. But on the same note, with as much hate as I have in the core of my being for LeBron James, I actually hope that the Celtics not only win their conference, but go and win the finals, because then they will be officially ahead of the Lakers for how many championships
Trash
that they have
franchise
won.
that is the Lakers.
But this is your fucking karma for turning your team and your franchise into something it never had the need to be.
Yeah.
Right? Because y'all didn't need a LeBron James. Y'all weren't Cleveland. Y'all weren't Miami. Even Miami technically didn't need him, right?
Yeah.
But you're acting like a brand new franchise. You're acting like an expansion team. You're acting like a Denver last year who ain't never won a championship. So we're going to fucking throw all the money and get all the players that we can at the detriment of the longevity of our franchise, just for some instant, non-existent gratification, because how is all of that working out for you, Genie Bus? Not well. Not well at all. In-season tournament banners, Kobe is turning over in his grave right now. I am sorry, Kobe. I really am. This man is like dead set on a big fuck you, right, to Kobe. And people who don't see that, how do you not see that? He, off the court, please, people, no hate mail, no death threats, none of that. Off the court, I think he's a great person, a great man, a great father, a great role model. On the court, as far as accountability goes, all of that, he's a fucking narcissist.
Yep.
He really is. He has this need. He has this need for external validation. There is something missing in him that he needs everybody else to acknowledge what he thinks. Okay, I didn't have my dad in my life either, but I am not out seeking that external validation. I am not running franchises into the ground, okay? So we are not going to blame the daddy issues on this bullshit, okay? This is somebody who actually, when you dial it back, actually has a fragile ego.
Yeah. Well, Brian Windhorst, even Wendy, his own like favorite, what was it? Even his own favorite reporter, he's even said that LeBron, more than any other athlete in the history of sports, controls the narrative. He controls the narrative around him, or he attempts to control the narrative around him and his legacy.
I think that's the better way to frame that. He is the only one who has attempted to control the narrative in the way that he has. Like, Kobe will say, like, he thinks he's the best, but he was not out there like, I'm the best, greatest in the world. Even Pippen said, Jordan and Kobe, ain't no GOAT ever had to say they were the GOAT.
Right.
Like, and they hate each other now, folks. So it baffles me. The need for the validation just is mind-boggling. It's baffling.
I'm there with you. All right, so on that note, we will go on ahead and close out this half of the show. We're going to come back and talk a little NFL, and then we're going to get back to basketball with the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, that is J.J. Reddick, and some of the things that he's had to say about 90s NBA. But this one in particular, I'm calling out his math flub and why he didn't think about this. But I'm Dark Lord 100, a.k.a. Double KK Double. That there is OMalley, and you are watching The Classroom on First GenXers on Twitch TV. Peace.
You got to keep it. You got to keep it lovely. You got to keep it. You got to keep it lovely. Success comes right after the struggle. I ain't even giving up on whatever I wanted. The tragedies I've seen, I can't even stomach. Most of y'all weak as shit and would've started running. Every time I make it back to the crib, I'm thankful the Most High let me see all of it. Grateful I'm lovely, and I've been real with this. Please don't judge me, I'ma stay on my shit. I'ma keep it.
Poetic beat. This is now versus then. 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 This is now versus then.
You getting on my nerves. You getting on my nerves. Gang, gang, bitch. You getting on my nerves. Gang, gang, bitch. You getting on my nerves. Get your titty, get your titty, get your titty on. Gang, gang, bitch. Get your titty, get your titty, get your titty on. I said what I said. No, please don't tell on me. No, please don't tell the police.
reverse, right? Because coaches usually then go to front office,
right.
not
Then go to-
the other way around.
He went from
So,
the
and
from
I
the
understand
penthouse
that
to the-
because a lot of people were like, his first year was like, okay, but he was significantly more qualified.
There you go.
I mean, even just how many rings, how many,
Oh, shoot.
you know,
Between, yeah.
right?
He won 3 with
How
Jordan,
many?
right?
Yeah, and just. I think actually in a lot of ways, especially now, seeing what we've seen, Steve Kerr was born to be a coach. Like that was his trajectory. Like he from and I don't just mean on the court, because if you listen to this man, if you legitimately listen to him and the way that he chooses to use his platform, the way he amplifies the voices, the way that he gets out there with what a lot of people think are unpopular opinions at times. And if you look at why he is the way he is, I feel the same way about Popovich, right? It just, these are two men who have been civil rights proponents. They have amplified voices of their players. They have advocated for all of that, and that's, to me, that shows that, first of all, I've always said that these things are bigger than sports in general. Yeah. But that's a good coach. He's a good coach on and off the court. And being a coach isn't just what you do when you're on the court, right? It's how you advocate for your players. It's how you advocate for your community. It's all of this. Like, you need to prove why you're getting paid $8 bajillion million trillion zillion dollars, right? Like, it's not just about the sport. It's about the fact that at the end of the day, you are still a role model. You still have a platform. And Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich have also recognized that, hey, I have a platform. I believe in these things. I also recognize that I have a certain privilege due to the color of my skin, and I have the responsibility to amplify these voices.
Amen. Amen. All right, so as y'all just witnessed, we talk sports even when we're off air. So sometimes the conversations carry back on after the commercial break. So let me start by saying welcome back to First GenXers Presents the Classroom. We were just talking a little bit there just about JJ Reddick, but we'll get to him in the second half of this particular segment. We're going to open up just, let's see. We got a few key games that are coming up in the NFL schedule. And one of the games that they say is a must-see is Niners at Jets, or Jets at Niners to open the season. Now, here's why everybody says it's must-see. It's not because it's Jets and the 49ers. That there's no rivalry there. It's primarily because if anybody remembers the beginning of last season, Aaron Rodgers played on a Monday night, and he played for approximately, 2 snaps before he tore his Achilles and was out for the rest of the season?
Yeah, he got injured in the first drive of his career as a Jet, so
now the conspiracy theory is that the NFL hates Aaron Rodgers because they're making him, for now the second year, have to face a defense that could possibly injure him in the first night of the first Monday night of the season. So you got Jets 49ers Monday night. It's the first Monday night game of the season. I know, of course, you look behind me. I'm a 49ers fan, so I'm going to be watching regardless. But is that a game that you would consider must-see?
No. In what realm of I don't give a fuck? Like, I mean, maybe you just, if anyone, I'm sorry, in this state, is actually paying attention to that game. It's one, because you're a 49er fan, okay? And two, because it's Aaron Rodgers. That is the only reason why anybody would show any kind of interest on this coast. Like, other than that, who cares? For the first game of the season, like, it would be one thing if we're talking about, oh, we're 10 games into the season and both teams are like, they're on fire, and Aaron Rodgers has had the best season of his career, and look at what he's doing, and blah, 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 blah. But for the first game of the season, fuck no. You're, okay, if you're paying attention to that game, you're a Jets fan, or you're a Niner fan. Or maybe you were a Cal fan who also had appreciation for Aaron Rodgers.
Or you're a Christian McCaffrey fan.
Or you're a Trump supporter. I have no fucking clue, okay? I don't know. But other than that, there is no legitimate reason to actually give a legitimate shit about that game.
Okay, now that I'm going to have to disagree with you on, because I'm going to bring it up like this. Niners, best offense in football last year. Jets, one of the they have literally one of the top 10 defenses in football. So you're talking about best offense versus best defense. You're talking about Aaron Rodgers versus basically what was a Super Bowl worthy defense last year. These are all reasons that football fans would give a shit about this game.
Nope.
I can't agree with you on the nobody cares.
It's still the Jets. It's still the Jets. It's still the Jets. Absolutely not. No, Aaron Rodgers is the only reason why anybody other than Niner fans or legitimate Jets fans give a shit about that game. Okay? Because either you love him and want to see him succeed, or you loathe him and want to see him tear his other Achilles. Like, that is the only reason why. Like, people want to see him get laid the fuck out. Okay? That's it. Like, he went from being amazing to, like, okay, please learn when to keep your mouth shut. Because this is when I can't differentiate, like, sports and you being a sketchy ass human. Like it just really it's like that. And it's the Jets. It's not like it's Green Bay, okay? Like, I would have understood that. Especially with the Niners. Like, okay, this is Green Bay. We have a thing. Okay, this is the Jets. Okay, I will repeat over and over and over again until somebody gets it through their head. It is the Jets.
Oh, man.
The Jets, folks. Okay, maybe next year at this time I'm going to be eating what I'm saying right now. And I hope so. I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
But hey, who knows? Stranger things have happened.
All right, so the number 3 game on CBS's games to watch this year is Texans-Cowboys. I find this matchup interesting because of the fact that Houston is sort of becoming the new darlings of Texas. Like, the Cowboys always have been, but it's looking like Houston is, with D'Amico Ryans and them boys, like, they're becoming the new darlings, and hell, they picked up some solid players this offseason that should make that team a little bit better. So you're talking about mid-November, Texans-Cowboys. It's the week before Thanksgiving. So what's this on your radar of 1 to 10 as far as watchable games?
Well, I don't give a fuck about the Cowboys. Okay, so I have a sister-in-law, so please, I hope you're not watching this. But I've never cared about the Cowboys, except for maybe for the half a second that Deion Sanders played on the Cowboys. And that wasn't because I jumped from team to team, but I was also a Braves fan while he was playing baseball. So, like, I appreciated the fact, and having at one point in my life, and now being a recovered Raider fan, I appreciated having Bo Jackson. I appreciated two-sport athletes. But other than that, I really don't give two halves a shit about the Cowboys. My sister-in-law and her husband and their son and all of them are all Cowboys fans. My dude is a Washington fan, so he also hates the Cowboys, right? So, as far as this goes, it really has nothing to do with Dallas, because Dallas doesn't mean anything to me. Dallas has never really meant anything to me, other than the
I'm a
fact
Niners
that
fan, so they've always been dog shit to me.
other than the fact that I do low key, high key, somewhat blame Jerry Jones for the fact that the Raiders are in Vegas right now. Other than that, the Cowboys don't mean shit to me. They really don't. What I do like about this, and again, we've gone to, because I am no longer a Raider fan. Do I pay attention? Do I keep track? Absolutely. I always will, okay? But I actually pray for your demise, because I want Mark Davis to have to sell that fucking team. With that said, we know that I have player appreciation, and I tend to tie player appreciation now to personal types of things. CJ Stroud is a child of an incarcerated parent.
Yeah.
I have respect for that. His father is in Folsom Prison. Okay, so I really appreciate that. I appreciate that he's talked about that. I appreciate that he's been open about that. So I really like the kid, and I want to see him do well, because I like him on a personal level. And, well, I don't really give two halves a shit about the Cowboys. So, CJ Stroud, I hope you whoop some fucking ass. Because I also don't understand, like, Dak, what do you have over Jerry Jones? Because how do you still have a job? I do not understand that. I really, really do not understand how Dak Prescott still has a job. How many coaches have they been through?
I can tell you why Dak still has a job, because unfortunately Dak's in that level where none of the quarterbacks that are better than him are going to be available to the Cowboys anytime soon.
Start drafting. Start drafting.
He's
folks.
better than what's out there.
Okay, well, start drafting. because here is the other thing, is that they even altered their offense to a West Coast offense to try to see if that suited him better. Where were they at the end of the season, folks?
Sent home by the 49ers again? No.
Right. Okay, so clearly it's not working.
Yeah.
But how many coaches has Dak played under? Yeah. How many? How many have lost their job, but Dak still has his job? Yeah. So I stand by Dak has something over Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, he must have Jerry Jones on tape saying something racist or some shit. Right? I don't know. But the fact, especially in Dallas, that he still has a job, to me is like, would be like if Jimmy Garoppolo was still at San Francisco. Right? Like, because the fan base, sorry, I know you're one of the Niner fan bases, but y'all are crazy. You do not give a lot of wiggle room to players. You're like my borderline clients. I hate to tell you this, because you're either your players are God one moment, and then the next minute they're the fucking devil. Okay, poor Brock Purdy, please do not have an off year, because they will come with torches and pitchforks. Yeah. That's also why I'm amazed when we talk about your coaching staff and how y'all have not got to that point yet. Because if you look at certain things, Purdy and Garoppolo, not a whole lot of differences in some ways. Right?
I can point out several differences. I can point out several major differences in timing, decision making, and like I'm not saying Purdy's Joe Montana. Like, I'm not putting him up on a pedestal. What I'm saying is that Jimmy's issues were very similar to Trey Lance's. Both of them had a tendency to become a deer in headlights. And in Kyle Shanahan's offense, you can't be a deer in headlights. You got to be able to make quick decisions and get the ball out. Like, you got to be able to depend on your running game and make quick decisions and get the ball out. And that's the difference between Purdy and everybody that came before him. He makes smarter decisions. He makes them quicker than most, and he gets the ball into tighter holes. Right. He led the NFL in tight window throws last year.
It's never been Kyle Shanahan's offense that's been the problem.
Well, yeah, it was the quarterback. Yeah. But this year, again, it wasn't him. This year, like I hate to say that about just like last year, it wasn't him in the conference champions game. In that Super Bowl, he did what you ask a quarterback to do. He
No,
walked off
but
the
that's
floor.
no,
He
that's
walked
the
off the
no,
field with the
that,
lead.
but that's the point. It's
Yeah.
not the offense that was the problem.
Right. Right. It's the
Okay,
defense.
it's your star defense that what the fuck. Okay, but that's the problem. This is where you come into issues with an offensive minded head coach. USC sees this with Lincoln Riley, right? That's why you need a head coach that's an offensive minded head coach needs to have the forethought enough to be like, hey, I'm over here, so my OC isn't super important, but my DC, I need that.
Well, that's the thing
That
about it.
defense.
That's how Shanahan and Lynch have been doing things. What's the only part that I will say this in defense of them, in that it's not their fault. Every year, their defensive coordinator gets hired by somebody else as a head coach. First, it was Robert Saleh. I'm not saying they're good head coaches, but first it was Robert
This
Saleh.
year, you
Then it
guys
was D'Amico Ryan.
you guys fired your DC this year, though.
Yes,
And
because he
I didn't-
deserved it. Because the
I
DC was a good part of the reason why they lost that Super Bowl. He had all that talent, and the defense did nothing.
But that's back to
That's
my
not on the head
original.
coach. The DC, the way Kyle Shanahan structures his team, the defense does what the defense does. The offense does what the offense does. So he leaves his entire defense to his DC, and his DC didn't get the job done. I hate to say it, but Steve Wilkes, I loved him, but it wasn't 100% his fault why he got fired, but he had a lot to do with why he got let go. He wasn't scot-free of blame for why he got let go. Playing zone at times in which he should be manning up, because we have the personnel to man up. We had the personnel to man up the Chiefs, and he's playing zone still. Like, these types of decisions cost us in multiple games throughout the season. And so he paid the ultimate price at the end of the day.
But here's what I feel about that, though. Like, at the end of the day, the head coach is responsible for everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why, in some ways, I've always felt this way, that you need a defensive-minded head coach with a good OC.
I would disagree, because Kansas City is the blueprint, and that's not what they have. Andy Reid is 100% an offensive-minded head coach, and he lets his defense do what they do. And he's winning Super Bowls. He's been to 3 out of the last 5 and won 2 of them. So, like, I can't necessarily say that. And you look at teams like Baltimore, who have a defensive-minded head coach and can't seem to make it past the conference championship game. Like, I feel what you're saying, but I think with the 49ers, what they need right now is they need another Robert Saleh. And the problem, or they need another D'Amico Ryans. The problem with it is that every year they're having to find a new DC. This year it's their own fault because they fired him. But the previous 2 years, it was because they got hired away as head coaches. You know, and so every year the defense is seeing a new face. That's why I was glad when they hired Nick Sorensen, who's been on the team for a while. And so it's a regular face for the defensive guys to see at the DC position. But fuck, it's a 4th defensive coordinator in the last 4 years. Like, how are you going to win a Super Bowl when every year the defense is having to see a new face on that side?
Well, and at the end of the day, your defense is what's going to win you a Super Bowl.
100%.
And that's, I think, what my main point is in all of this, right? Is that it still, okay, yeah, the last couple of years, because they did go on to other teams. Yeah. But at the end of the day, your head coach is still responsible for some of those decisions. Yeah. Still responsible for keeping that in check, right? So
like, the defense coordinator is the one who play calls, and that's who when I talk about the issues that I have with our defense, it's more along the lines of, again, I keep going back to that Super Bowl with Steve Wilkes. The 49ers had the personnel to man up and put a linebacker and Fred Warner on Travis Kelce that can match with him. And then Deommodore Lenoir, Mooney Ward on opposite sides can match up with any of Kansas City's top 3 receivers. All right? Because they basically had a bunch of nobodies last year. you have the ability to man up and frustrate the holy hell. You got Chase Young coming. You got the OU sack team. You got Chase Young coming off the right end. You got Bosa coming off the left end. You can frustrate the hell out of Patrick Mahomes. And what do? You drop back into a zone. And I just don't get it. That was 100% a Steve Wilks call. You have a small lead against one of the best zone-eating offenses in football, and you zone up with the personnel to man up. Now, I can't look at Kyle Shanahan and go, why didn't you go over there and tell him? That's his defense. You let him do what he's going to do. If he thinks zone is the best that's going to work there, then you do it. But I'm not seeing that. I'm like, if you have the personnel to man up, but then again, no, I've never played football outside of Madden and some PE. So what do I know? But I'm looking at it going, we have the personnel. Why are we not doing this? And that's where I agree with you that it's on Shanahan to find where Shanahan's responsibility in it ends. To me, is Shanahan has to find the right guy to get the most out of that defense. And I think initially he had the right guy. I think if we still have Robert Saleh right now, he never goes to the Jets. I think they've won a Super Bowl by now. Okay, same thing with D'Amico Ryans. I think if they don't let go of D'Amico Ryans, I think they
Speaking of the Jets, how did that work out for him?
He's not a head coach. He's not a head coach, and he definitely didn't get himself a good OC. But D'Amico Ryans did, though. D'Amico Ryans went out and got him some good people and went out and got him a quarterback and a defensive player in the top 3 picks in the draft. And look at Houston. He turned around that moribund franchise, and now they are potentially looking at an AFC title game next year, potentially, if that's their ceiling. I don't see them going to the Super Bowl next year. Sorry, Houston fans. You can cuss me out in the comments. Anyway, but yeah. I definitely think the loss, if either one of those two stay, I think we're talking about the 49ers completely differently. There's a good chance that they potentially have won a Super Bowl by now. But unfortunately, the way it works is those guys, when they're that good, they aren't looking to stay. They're looking to move on to a head coaching position. So they go.
Here's my question, though, for you as a Niner fan, right? Knowing how fickle Niner fans can be with coaches, players, all of that, right? Yeah. How much longer does Shanahan have to take you to a Super Bowl before, okay, it's time to move on?
I will address that like this. Shanahan and Lynch's leash will tighten when Jed York is no longer happy with what they're doing.
Okay.
The reason why I say that is because Jed York is not the type of owner that's going to sway to a bunch of people on the internet saying fire Kyle Shanahan. So I think, hold on, I'm going to get to the answer that you're looking for is I think that their leash at this point is unlimited. I want to say they just last year signed extensions, like both signed 5-year extensions. So York is happy with what they're doing. Despite the Super Bowl losses, despite the coming up short, York is happy. And as long as York is happy, their jobs are safe. It's when he becomes unhappy that I don't think he gives up what the 49er fan base feels.
Okay. So let me tweak that question a little bit. And when I say this, I'm not necessarily talking about you as a fan because you actually can think logically. Sorry. No, not really. But aside from York, as far as the fan base is concerned, because that's really where my question is. Right?
I'll say this. I think that he's already got about a good quarter of the fan base that's already trying to rumble with the fire Shanahan. But they go back and forth is what their problem is. Like fickle is the right word. They go back and forth. Last year they loved Shanahan.
They are borderline. Y'all are some borderline motherfuckers. Today you are the angel and tomorrow you're the devil. Yeah, and I get that. But
and I think that they have already started to turn on him. But I think as long as the 49ers are competing for championships, I think that, again, even with the fan base, I think they'll talk shit after every loss. And like you said, they'll praise them after every win.
Okay,
And
you don't make it. You don't make it back to the Super Bowl this year. How are you feeling?
me,
Yeah,
it's again being the logical Niner fan. I'm not feeling any
feels
kind of
like
way
an
about it.
oxymoron, but okay.
But no, I'm not feeling any kind of way because I see the rest of the league getting better around them. The only way I'm upset about this year, if they don't make the Super Bowl, is if they lose to Dallas along the way. If their loss
Okay,
in the playoffs is to Dallas, then it's unforgivable. But other than that, I'm watching this league get better around them. So of course, every year that they don't win a Super Bowl, it's going to get more difficult to go
do
back to
you?
next year.
But do you take into account not just losing, but how you lose?
Yes, yes, yes. How,
Like,
like if it's a blowout. Well, if it's a blowout, again, depends on the team. Because if it's a blowout to the Lions, no, because I think the Lions have the potential to blow out a team like the Niners. I think they're
yeah,
good
but
enough to do that.
the Lions today are not the Lions of years ago. So
Right.
we can't use the Lions as a thing. But what I'm talking about when I say does it depend on how you lose, I mean in those games where you have a lead and you should take the game and you end up for play calling for this for that, and of course it's not just once,
Yeah.
right? Because once is a one off, but like when you're consistently recognizing that your losses first of all shouldn't have been losses,
Yeah.
but secondly our losses in the fashion of okay, how didn't you step in here at some point, and like how do you go from winning and taking this lead, and how what is it about this coach that he is able to bring a team right up to that point, but he can't bring a team over that point?
Okay. I'm gonna answer this question in two parts. First and foremost, as far as how I would personally feel, if there's one thing that anybody knows about me when it comes to sports, is I'm a continuity guy. Meaning, if your coach is almost there and he's struggling, I'm not throwing him out the door. Because at the end of the day, at some point, and it may be years down the line, at some point, the guy's got a winning formula. He just has to put it all together to win a championship. I understand how difficult it is to get there, and so I give a lot of leeway. But that's also me. That's how I feel. I believe that championship teams are built through continuity. I believe that the reason why the Patriots did what they did over the 20-year span that they did it is because they had Bill Belichick running the front office and coaching, and because they had Tom Brady at the quarterback. That was the reason for their
Well,
long-term
according
success.
to the roast of Tom Brady, it had nothing to do with Bill Belichick,
Yeah.
because look what happened once Tom Brady left.
Yeah, well,
Please
there's an
also
argument that
explain
can
to
be
me
made.
how you are more upset about the Robert Kraft massage thing than you were about them ripping your ex-wife and the mother of your children apart. Like, I'm
Yeah. But
okay.
anyway,
Anyway,
but yeah, so I look at it like that. I believe that if Purdy is Shanahan, I think that the first 6-7 years I've given Shanahan a little leeway because he's looking for his quarterback. He wanted Kirk Cousins when he first came, couldn't get him. He ended up settling for Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy was good, but just he had those moments too many times. Now he finally has he thought it was Trey Lance. That was a bad decision. Everybody makes bad decisions from time to time. Now he's got Brock Purdy. He was lucky enough to stumble across Brock Purdy. I think that there's something special about Brock Purdy. I think they're going to do everything they can to keep Brock Purdy because I think that him with Kyle Shanahan, I think he's like Kirk Cousins. Like a lot of people see that as an insult. I don't. Because Kirk Cousins had some of his best seasons of his career in Shanahan's offense and in Shanahan style offenses. So if Purdy can put up consistent numbers the way that Kirk Cousins did, all we need is stability on the defense, and this team will win a championship within the next 5 years. And so it's
meanwhile, Kirk Cousins is just got a contract with a team who then went out and drafted a first-round draft pick for an NFL quarterback. So, I mean, Kirk Cousins, I'm sorry, is a shit quarterback as far
I
as
can't say he's a shit quarterback because who pays a shit quarterback $150 million? Like
Atlanta.
like, look, here's the thing about it. Here's the Kirk Cousins conundrum.
And he's coming off injury, isn't he?
Yeah, Yes,
Like,
Here's the Kirk Cousins conundrum. Kirk Cousins can have a 5,000-yard season, can throw 40 touchdowns, but you're right. Once he gets to the playoffs, he's not getting you to a Super Bowl. And so I can't call him a crap quarterback when he's putting up those kind of numbers during the regular season. He's like Peyton Manning was early in his career, except he's late in his career. Peyton Manning used to put up spectacular numbers during the regular season and then couldn't do shit during the playoffs. And still we look at Peyton Manning as one of the best quarterbacks to ever pick up a football. John Elway, the man only won 2 Super Bowls. Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. I'm not saying that Kirk Cousins is on their level. What I'm saying is that Brock Purdy can be that guy for Kyle Shanahan to where we don't have to worry about the quarterback position for a good long while. And now we can focus on other parts of the team. And they can focus some more energy on other parts of the team. I think they're being very risky with not trying to sign Ayuk and drafting that other wide receiver, but we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, do I believe Shanahan should be fired if they don't win a Super Bowl within the next 5? It depends. If they go to 3 of the next 5 and they lose all 3, I can't. I can't fire a man who's getting my team to the Super Bowl consistently. I just can't.
But you're
that would be like firing
going,
Steve Kerr for the 2019 loss to the Raptors.
Hold on though. You're also going with the assumption that he's going to bring you to another Super Bowl.
Right. And I'm not saying it's I'm just saying if he does that, I think Kyle Shanahan's ceiling over the next 5 years is 2 Super Bowl wins. And I think that's his ceiling. That's about as good as it's going to get for the 49ers. His floor is barely making the playoffs the next 5 years. Like,
what if you don't even make the playoffs this season?
Depends on how the season plays out. If it's a fully healthy team and they're just playing like shit, I still don't fire them, but we definitely are looking at some revamping. Like I said, the man's earned some leash. The 2 Super Bowl losses, the 3 or 4 straight NFC Championship games, like the man's earned himself some leeway for a bad season here or there. I think he's only had 2 losing seasons since he's been with San Francisco, where they've won less than 10 games. So, yeah, you don't just throw away a coach because they're struggling to win the big game. You figure out how
you've had y'all have had no problem doing that with players. Like, I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Who did they throw away?
But y'all have a tendency to, when players are doing well, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Even Jimmy G was the second coming of Christ when he first got to San Francisco.
Yeah, because he played well. He gave us something we hadn't had in years: competent quarterback play.
Didn't take a whole long time for that to change.
But that's because of him. Sorry. I don't defend Jimmy G often. I don't pile on to Jimmy G often. But he was the one that at critical times, would be throwing picks. It can't just be scheme. He's the one that missed the throw to Emmanuel Sanders that everybody blames, even though I don't blame it on him and Emmanuel Sanders for that Super Bowl loss. I blame it on the defense. But he's the one that missed that pass. Shanahan drew up a perfect play.
And that's not my point. I'm not actually saying that it's not warranted in this case, though, right? But Brock Purdy had some sketchy moments himself.
Yeah, he does.
Let's be clear. And that's what I'm trying to say is that there is often a difference in how up and down, like it's and it's how long do you give your players. For San Francisco, not even players, coaches, whatever, it's some get more leeway than others.
Yeah. Jimmy G, to me, got too much leeway. Jimmy G stayed with us for 7 years.
I don't think Jimmy G should have gone anywhere other than a whorehouse. But I mean,
I'm just saying, like, Trey Lance was given 2 years too long. Trey Lance showed in the very beginning that he should never been a starter, and he still was given 2 extra years.
Well, I mean, Chicago is probably thanking, Lord for Trey Lance, right? Yeah. Because they now have Caleb Williams because of Trey Lance.
We'll see if Caleb Williams, I think the kid has potential, but we're gonna see.
We're not going to talk shit about this one.
I'm just saying. Like,
No,
USC quarterbacks haven't exactly had the best success at the NFL level.
But they also have.
Yeah. There's a balance. For every Mark Sanchez,
there is.
he had his success, but
Oh, okay, yeah, no. But we have had some, and maybe not always our quarterbacks, but we've also had like some consistently good players. But
Reggie Bush, etc.
Trey Lance was never a player to move up in the draft for. Like,
sometimes people make bad decisions. Number one, I'll use this statistics as a factoid. There have been more number one pick quarterbacks that have been bust than there have been those that have been successful.
No, statistically speaking, you don't want to be the number one draft pick. No. But also with that said, though, look at where that first round draft pick is usually going.
Yeah.
Right? You do have to take some of that into account. I do feel like those that end up further draft picks are better off also because a lot of them are going in. Like, look at Aaron Rodgers. One of the reasons, now granted, one could argue that he would have done what he did at San Francisco.
Yeah.
One, we'll never fully know that, right? But two, just like Penix and what they're saying that their plan technically is, which I don't buy this, I really don't, what they say their plan is. But Penix could have the opportunity to develop under a quarterback. I'd want him to develop under anyone other than Cousins, but it's still the quarterbacks that have the opportunity to be developed as an NFL quarterback, I think, have a better longevity. And it's not necessarily because, but also look at the team in general. A lot of those first round draft picks went to Cleveland.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's where quarterbacks go to die. So it really is. Mind you, some of them are also really shitty picks and should not have been the first round draft pick or shouldn't have been a pick at all. But other than that, it's not as simple as, well, they weren't a good quarterback and they couldn't hack it. You also have to look at the opportunities that they were. I think Justin Fields actually has the ability to be a good quarterback.
Yep. Me too.
I think the Raiders should actually do something to step in there, because if what I'm seeing is true, they're talking about using that man as a fucking kick returner. Like, really? Like, and I'm sorry, but Russell Wilson, you're all great and all, and you're a sweet man and a God-fearing man and all of that, but it's also probably time for you to start stepping down too, sir. I do not see him being, like, he is not a Pittsburgh Steeler to me. No. Does he strike anyone as being a Pittsburgh Steeler? He doesn't strike me as being a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Not most of
at all.
All right.
No.
All right. We're going to close it up there only because we're about 25 minutes over time, but that's okay because it's been a great episode. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it there. We will be back hopefully next week, 7 p.m., same time, same bad time, 7 bad channel. Catch us on Podcast Sundays. There will not be a video game stream from me after this. I'm calling it a night because I've been up since like 5 o'clock this morning. So I hope you guys enjoy. You'll definitely get Rune Scryer tonight at midnight. And this has been The Classroom yet again. And OMalley bringing it strong. We will talk to y'all next week. And till then, stay up, stay blessed. And go Timberwolves. What the fuck? All right, so 7 o'clock works best for you? Okay. Then we'll keep it here. I told Saint that same thing that